What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and today I will be giving you my top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Now this is my personal opinion, so please comment down below what your top 10 Marvel films are. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now my number 10 MCU film would have to be SpiderMan Homecoming. Now this is a little biased because I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, however, can anyone remember how atrocious The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was? And for me, having a Spider-Man film not only set in the MCU, but actually good. Tom Holland nailed the character of Spider-Man, and Michael Keaton as the Vulture is brilliant. Now, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Spider-Man Homecoming, I actually have the film review on my channel. However, I can't argue with Spider-Man Homecoming because in my personal opinion, it saved the Spider-Man franchise from oblivion. And that is why it is on this list. At number 9, I have put Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this is probably one of the funniest Marvel films. It's upbeat. There's no like massive stakes. It's not really a depressing movie. It's just an upbeat comedy. And I kind of like it. I think all the characters are very likeable. They're funny. And they work well together as a team. And to be honest, I like the sci-fi elements they have in this movie. This movie takes place in space, which at the time, there was not many Marvel movies which took place entirely in space. So Guardians gave us something different, and it opened up to a massive world which really made the Marvel Cinematic Universe far larger than we ever thought. Guardians is well acted, it is well directed, and the characters are brilliant. So at number 8, I have Black Panther, the only MCU movie to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. And I can understand why. Why I felt it was a little bit overhyped with what everyone was saying about it. It does have a nearly all black cast, which is very progressive. And also, it's just a really good movie. Set in Wakanda, it has a very unique environment. And it's a very amazing world. They do a lot of positive things in this movie, especially with the villains. The villains in this movie really did take Marvel villains to a new level because they were relatable and complex, which is something in the early MCU movies you really didn't get. You kind of just had a bland villain. In Black Panther, they really do start to focus on the villains more and what makes the villains important to the story. And Chadwick Boseman is really charismatic and a very likeable actor, and he plays Black Panther really well. So that is why it is on this list. The next one is Thor Ragnarok. Now, Thor was probably the weakest set of movies in the MCU. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really like Thor, and I didn't like Thor The Dark World. And when I was doing my overall ranking of these movies, Thor and Thor The Dark World were pretty low on the list. However, Thor Ragnarok gave us something different. It was a comedy. It exploited the more comedic elements of Thor. And it was perfect. Chris Hemsworth is a really funny actor, and they kind of allow for him to go to his full potential in this movie. Not only is Thor a badass, at the end of the movie he is a badass. However, I just like all the comedy. It has the Hulk in it, the Hulk being neglected in some of the other movies. I feel like he gets a lot of character development here. They do Planet Hulk, or aspects of Planet Hulk, and I really enjoy that. And Taika Waititi gave the movie a great feel. It feels like a movie from the 70s and 80s. And that's perfect. I felt this movie was really funny. I remember laughing out loud all of the time at this movie. And it also makes Thor a badass, and you can't argue with that. At number 6, I have put The Avengers. Now, before The Avengers was released, no one had really done a massive superhero team-up movie for characters which had been developed in solo movies previously. And this showed that the Marvel Cinematic Universe could happen. Phase 2 and Phase 3 should give a great deal of thanks to Joss Whedon and the people who worked on the first Avengers movie, because it's a brilliant movie. It's got a fantastic storyline. The acting is brilliant in this movie, and it's got quite a lot of action. I think the last 30 or 45 minutes of this movie is a massive action scene. And it doesn't get stale. If an action scene goes on for that length of time, sometimes it can get stale. However, because of all the banter they have and because of the developing action, it actually works. I love the Avengers movie, and I will always watch it from time to time just to remember how far we've come since then. So my number 5 movie is Iron Man. Now, Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. gave us something beautiful with Iron Man. Iron Man is probably the one which is not really connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because it's the first movie. And it doesn't really focus on all of the build-up and all of the universe building. And that is why Iron Man was more successful than Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. Because those two movies decided to universe build straight away. They felt you had to universe build really quickly. However, in Iron Man, you can watch that as a solo movie and not even think about the MCU or building up a universe. It's just a really interesting comic book movie. And at this time, a lot of comic book movies that were coming out were not really brilliant. I mean, they were kind of getting stale. Iron Man gave us something different. Robert Downey Jr. dream casting as Iron Man and Tony Stark. He was brilliant in this, and I love Iron Man. It started something which has been, for me, very important for the last 11 years. So thank you, Robert Downey Jr., and we'll miss you. At number 4, I have got Captain America Civil War. Now, this movie was, for a little while, my top MCU movie. However, as I kind of rewatched it, it did go down. Not by a lot, though, because I really like Civil War. Civil War had a massive build-up because it was the start of Phase 3, and everyone was just so excited for this movie. I was on Team Iron Man. I don't care what you lot say, but Iron Man was right, and superheroes need to be under control. I'm going to stick by that for the rest of my life. Also, I think Iron Man's really cool, and SpiderMan was on that team, so I was probably a little biased for Team Iron Man. However, Civil War is brilliant. I mean, the airport battle scene was straight out of a comic book, and Joe and Anthony Russo really showed that they can handle multiple Marvel characters in the same movie, and I really enjoyed Civil War. It was emotional. It's one of the more emotional Marvel movies. And it showed at the end of the movie that not everything was okay. There were deep divisions in the Avengers. And it was like the Avengers was never going to be the same again. Now, I am going to just say that my top 3 MCU movies were really hard to rank. I had to watch these 3 movies 2 times in order to just find out which one is better than the other. So at number 3, I have got Avengers Infinity War. Now, this movie had so much anticipation. Everyone knew at the end of the first Avengers movie, when you saw Thanos, that Infinity War was coming, and wow, did it pay off. This movie lived up to the hype. It had superb action in it, and also Josh Brolin as Thanos was one of the standout performances in this movie. Thanos was so complex in this movie to the point that you could say that he was doing the right thing, just in a bit of a messed up way. So Infinity War, it has a great villain, it had great action, and also you saw Avengers characters interact with one another on an unprecedented scale. So that's why Avengers Infinity War is my number 3. At number 2, I have Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, Joe and Anthony Russo showed us in their first outing as directors that they understand the characters. Captain America the Winter Soldier is one of the more grounded MCU films, as it's kind of a spy movie rather than a massive, blow 'em up action movie. And it works. This movie has some of the best action and best choreography I have ever seen in any Marvel movie, and the suspense in this is brilliant. I mean, you can't argue with this movie. This movie was so action-packed, and it was very deep, very complex, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of the more somber Marvel movies. It's a bit more down-to-earth, a bit more grounded, and I really enjoy it for that. At my number 1, and this took me a long time to come to this conclusion, is Avengers Endgame. Now, you need to see my review of this movie to understand how much praise I can give it. But this movie is the pinnacle of not only the MCU, but comic book movies in general. I mean, I was shocked coming out of this. There was people cheering, there was people crying. Everyone dealt with this in different ways, and it was a beautiful movie. And that is why it's my number one, and I don't think anything that comes after is going to beat it. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope that you enjoyed watching this video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. And I will see you in another one. See ya!